All right, so typically I split up my leg days. Usually I'll do quads on one day and do hamstrings on another day. With quads, I'll still do a couple hamstring movements at the end just to get blood in there, and then vice versa. On hamstring day, I'll do some extensions. So this was primarily a quad dominant workout. Started off with leg extensions. I actually just like this movement. Just it warms up my knees a little bit, and warms up the muscle a lot. You know, it's just an isolation. So I'm not a fan of starting off with a compound movement. It just doesn't suit me well. So we did a couple warm up sets, and we did 3 or 4 working sets with that. Typically, I just get a good squeeze, a good contraction, and try to take advantage of getting a lot of blood in there initially. Second movement, went to the inverted leg press. This has been a huge staple in my training for the last year or two. It really puts a lot of tension on the quad, on the vastus intermedius, which is kind of like the teardrop. But it's an awesome movement. A lot of control, a lot of tension. It's a little bit unique and uncomfortable at the same time, but definitely gets the job done, and it pushes a lot of blood in the muscle early on in the workout. Third movement, we were going to do front squats, but somebody was on the rack, so we went over to hack squats instead. Talk about that later. So I think we did 3 or 4 sets there, and I worked up to 4 plates a side. Pushed it out. I had a little bit of a quad injury last year. I had some torn fibers in my IT band, so it's right up where it inserts into the hip. So it's kind of it's been hindering my training a little bit. So I'm always real hesitant on going heavier. But yesterday seemed pretty good, so we went up to 4 plates a side and made sure it went deep and pushed up hard. So it was good. It felt good. From there, we went into front squats, and I think I got up to 315 with that, and those were good too. Usually the last couple of weeks we've been using a safety bar or a yoke bar, I guess, whatever it's called. We put our heels are elevated, so it puts so much tension on the quads. It just feels good. But I guess it's kind of an alternative to back squats, but we use the angle to elevate our heels to put more tension on the quads. So we just changed it up and did straight front squats this week. After that, we did walking lunges. I had some 40s walking lunges with that. Felt like 100. And we superset with another unique piece you really don't see it much anymore, the Frank Zane leg blaster, which is kind of difficult to explain, but you'll see here that it comes over your shoulders, and the weight is kind of on the side and in the front a little bit. And the way that I do it is I kind of lean forward a little bit. I push my hips back, and I go all the way down, but all I'm really doing is pushing my knees back, essentially contracting my quads only. So I put the most tension on my quads, just the way that I'm contracting. And then supersetting those with lunges is, a lot like death. So we did did a couple bouts of that, and from there went to just did a few sets of hamstrings, seated leg curls, and we supersetted them with lying leg curls. So, at that point, it's like opening up the floodgates to the quads, pushing blood in the hams, and isolating them. So all in all, it was a really good workout. Had a ton of blood, couldn't really walk very much afterwards. So, and that was pretty much it.
Do you normally, do you switch your leg day up, or is that normally the same exercise you do, or how's that work?
No, I have my staple of movements. I typically always do extensions. Obviously, front squats are a staple. Leg press usually a staple. If it really change anything, it's going to be the intensifiers. The variance of the movements. So whether it be doing drop sets or partials or negatives, things like that. To switch up the muscle rather than necessarily the movement. So. I think that's pretty much it. But I usually stick with roughly the same movements. If anything, I'll sometimes I'll rearrange the order, and that plays a huge role too. I mean, you can feel a difference because fatiguing different parts of the muscle at different times. It's not what I'm used to, so you definitely feel it.
Okay. Do you have a set day for like leg spot, or do you
They pretty much rotate. I don't do the whole, chest on Monday, legs on Tuesday kind of thing. I kind of go by how I feel a lot of times. I don't believe in that, because sometimes, if my legs are tired, I'm not going to train back or whatever, you know what I mean? So they usually rotate, but I like to train legs on Sunday, where I can get some meals in me and then take the rest of the day and just kind of recover and not have to worry about being on my feet and having the energy to train clients and stuff like that. But it doesn't always work that way though. So
okay, what about, like, because with weight? Like, are you a high weight, lower reps guy?
No, I don't consider myself to be real strong. So I mean, when you say high weight, so I'm not really sure if I would say that. For me, it's heavy, but I still get enough to where I'm getting at like 10 and 12 reps, but those last 3 or 4 I'm near failure. So I guess I like to think of it as heavier weight still with higher volume. Our rest intervals are fairly short, with the exception of yesterday because it was like 95 degrees with humidity. So yeah, it was real warm. Yeah, I couldn't breathe. But normally we move fast, so it doesn't give the muscle much time to recover. And we make sure we get a lot of blood in there. So, I mean, that's kind of how I've always been, more blood volume, get as much blood as you can, and shorter rest, because it's obviously you're exerting more energy. All right, guys, give you a little bit of insight on my supplementation, Allmax, of course. And you know what? And before I start, I want to explain something. I get a lot of heat because I promote Allmax. I'm a sponsored athlete by Allmax. But I'll give you a story on how I got sponsored by Allmax originally. There's a local supplement store in my area. I have a big following. A lot of people trust my word and know that I know what I'm talking about. I have a big clientele base with my personal training business. So I've actually been referring my clients to buy these products since before I was sponsored. Essentially, that's how I got noticed by Allmax Nutrition. So just to let you guys know that I'm not blowing smoke and trying to be a promoter. I'm not. I really do believe in these products, and that's literally all I use because they're truly a good product. We don't use any kind of fillers. We don't do proprietary blends. So there's nothing to hide with everything we used, and they're all GMP certified and stuff like that. So every time that they're being made, they're being monitored to the highest standard and tested for purity. So just getting that out of the way. In no particular order, one of my favorite pre-workouts, this is Humanivol. It's a blood volumizer. You take it like half hour, 45 minutes prior to training on empty stomach, and it's just really good for putting a lot of blood in there. And I always stack it with my Muscle Prime and or my Razor 8. This is our new Razor 8. We had rechanged the formula because the original had the dimethyl 1,3 in there, and obviously the FDA took that off the shelf. So this is our new one. It's phenomenal. I mean, it doesn't have the stim that the original one had, but it does have the pure yohimbine, HCI, and it's got a few other things in there too. I mean, but it's got a little bit more pump than the original one, but a little less stim, which I prefer. I don't like high stim. The Muscle Prime is my all-time favorite pre-workout though, as far as that goes. It's low stim, like 200 milligrams of caffeine. It's got a BCA complex. It's got a gram of citrulline malate. It's got a lot of things in all that's really engineered for blood flow. So this is my go-to for pre-workout. Holy grail of recovery, my essentials, leucine and the amino core. Leucine is basically the most powerful of the aminos. The amino core, 8 grams of essential amino acids, and as you can see, it's got each individual ratio here of your essential amino acids. Again, we don't use fillers or anything like that, so you'll notice that the mixability is very, very quick. There's no chunks, there's no clumps, there's no foaming, none of that stuff. Okay. Isoflex Peach Chiller. I've been using this now probably for like a year and a half. I haven't gone back to the typical, chocolate or chocolate peanut butter or what have you. It's a little bit more of a tart flavor, but like most of us, we've been doing the chocolate and stuff like that for how many years. So this for me is just a great change of pace. The Isoflex is it's a whey isolate. Again, we use there's no fat, there's no cholesterol, no sugar, none of that stuff. And we also disclose how we do our filtration system, cross-flow, micronized, and stuff like that. It's cold water process. So, which means a lot of companies, if they use the hot water cross-filtration process, it's actually going to damage the protein culture a lot. So cold is a little bit more expensive, but that's what we use and we disclose that. So you're going to get a very pure product here. That's my favorite. My holy grail is my baby, the Carbion. A lot of people are afraid of carbs, but man, honestly, it's the best thing you can have. So intra-workout, post-workout, So I use them in a nutshell. It's a 6-blend, heavy molecular weight of carbohydrates. Nothing simple. You don't bloat from it. It's loaded with electrolytes and also insulin mimickers. So I'll do 5 or 6 scoops during my workout, another 5 or 6 post-workout, and I'm not bloated at all. I love this stuff. Better for recovery, better energy while I train, and it magnifies my pumps tenfold.
On top of your Allmax products, but are there any just normal vitamins or anything like glucose or anything you take on a regular basis?
No, nope, not really. I do VitaStack for my multivitamin, which it's phenomenal. Yeah, that's the one I gave you is a Vitaform actually.
I'm gonna be trying to get extra.
Sure. This is the Vitaform actually. It's a 2-a-day vitamin for men. It's not as complex as like the VitaStack per se, but more for just like general health purposes for guys.
Yeah, because I was taking Centrum just so everyone knows, and Brandon said try this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah, I kicked him in the knee and told him no. So. But yeah, as far as like any other, I mean, I do take like probiotics and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I take additional fish oils, the 369, the DHA EPA, stuff like that. I do take like a vitamin B complex on top of that. So, so that's pretty much it though. Yeah, I mean, my supplementation is very basic. I mean, I know it seems like a lot, but like I do a lot of leucine, taurine, arginine and stuff, and typically it's just because they're individualized or not. I don't buy them where they're combined or whatever. So I like to know how much I'm getting of each thing and kind of make it my own.
Okay. Good deal. Thanks a lot, man.
Yep.